You're watching the Maryland Players Show. All right, our guest today was a champion at Washington High in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, All-State and All-Metro, honorable mention All-American, played basketball, volleyball, softball, and ran track, played basketball for the University of Arizona, was an assistant coach at Kent State and Iowa State, head coach at Ball State and Minnesota before coming to University of Maryland. MAC Coach of the Year at Ball State in 2000, 2002 and 2021 AP Coach of the Year, 2002 U.S. Basketball Writers Association Coach of the Year, 2021 ESPN National Coach of the Year and Athletics National Coach of the Year, 2013 ACC Coach of the Year, Big Ten Coach of the Year in 2002, 2015, 2019, and 2021. National Championship, in 2006, after only a fourth year at the University of Maryland. 2009, 2012 ACC Regular Season Championship, 2009 ACC Tournament Championship, 18-0 in the first year in the Big Ten, 2014 and 15 Big Ten Regular Season Championship, over 10 NCAA berths, 10 consecutive 20-win seasons, 6 25-plus win seasons, 4 30-plus win seasons, 4 Elite Eight appearances, preseason #1 ranking for the first time in school's history in 2006, has a record of 535 wins and 139 losses with a whopping 79.5% win percentage. Holy crap. Coached 4 ACC Player of the Year players, coached 4 ACC Freshman of the Year players, 6 players in the top 10 WNBA draft, and this is the one I love the most. All seniors to play for Coach Frese has graduated. Welcome to the show, Coach Brenda Frese. We are so happy to have you.
Well, thank you, Walt. I mean, I feel like I've died and gone to heaven. I mean, I think, all of that just kind of reminds me of the longevity of how long I've been doing this. So, but I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited.
Yes, so are we. So let's get right into it. So how was it? You don't think of Iowa as this basketball place or what have you. So how was it growing up there for you?
Yeah, amazing. I think what most people don't realize, I mean, I started way back when the game was half court, the 6-on-6. So, I grew up through 8th grade, playing on the offensive side, loved to score the basketball. But then in high school, we made the transition, and I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to figure out this game. And, which is pretty wild now to have coached at such a high level when, what your roots are like. But, for me, it was, just the perfect spot, Midwest, blue collar work ethic, my parents raised, there were 6 of us, total in our family. So, just hardworking, watching my parents, instill this, passion for sports. We played them all. We got to, kind of feel our way out, and just, they loved us and support us and gave us a great, upbringing to grow up there.
So you just touched upon it. You played many sports. How did basketball rise to the top for you?
I think, I was fortunate. Yeah. I mean, they threw us into so many things. I mean, I even did like swim team and golf lessons, and they really kind of, wanted us to kind of figure out what that sport was going to be. And I guess, for me, it was just, basketball, I just remember it became easier than most of the other sports, when I could start making left-handed layups and, learned how to shoot, and the ball could go in the basket. So, it just really was a natural progression as they kind of put us in a lot of sports. I mean, I was terrible at softball. I could never hit the ball. So I knew that sport was out of the way, but, it just, was a sport I just fell in love with.
So now you started off as assistant coach, like I mentioned earlier, Kent State and Iowa State, but you became the head coach of Ball State in '99, and then Minnesota 2 years later, University of Maryland 1 year later after that. So, I mean, it was a quick move from, when you started as a head coach and now you major D1. Was that intimidating?
It was a lot. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I made 3 moves in like 4 years, and, quickly went up the ladder. But, I think I was very aware of, timing and understanding that, if you had success and you had the opportunity of a window open up, you needed to take it. But I definitely, was excited to get to Maryland, and, I wanted to build a program where I could stay, where there would be that continuity and the longevity, and, because, making those 3 moves in 4 years was like no other. I mean, it was really, really tough, and you're rebuilding programs. The energy that it takes to do a rebuild is also a lot. So I found my natural home. And I remember coming to Maryland that I was just, hopeful that I could get a contract extension that, like back then you're like, am I good enough? I think I'm good enough, but I don't know if I'm good enough. And I just hope I can get a contract extension at Maryland. So, obviously it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very well. So you were at Minnesota, and previously they were like 7-20, 8-20, and you turned that program around in 1 year. 22-8 that season. So major D1 level, Big Ten. Why Maryland? Why'd you leave Minnesota to come to Maryland? Especially, coming behind a legendary coach and Coach Weller. We all know that normally the coach that comes behind the legendary coach does not have success. So throwing that in there as well. What separated Maryland?
Well, the first thing I'll say is Debbie Yao. I never thought when I went to Minnesota that, that like, I thought that was where I was going to end up. It was 4 hours from home, growing up in Iowa. So I really thought that was going to be my final stop. But, it really was, that year I was named AP Coach of the Year, and, Minnesota, Ohio State, Florida all came after me in that year. And it was really, Maryland, I should say, it was really Debbie Yao that, was so far ahead, her vision, and, really convinced me of, you can win a national championship here. You can get to multiple Final Fours. You're on a national stage. And so, it really, when I never envisioned being on the East Coast. I was a Midwest type of girl, but really when I walked into Xfinity and it was the shell of, Comcast Center, then I got chills. I could see it filled. I could understand it on a national landscape. And it was really her convincing that, thrusted me into wanting to come.
All right, cool. So how was it? I know it had to be awesome, growing up with so many brothers and sisters, but having your sister be on your coaching staff and then seeing her going to be a head coach. How has that been for you?
Yeah, it was great. We had 4 years together, and I think probably in the most formative years for me as a head coach, when I started with her at Ball State and then the year at Minnesota and a year at Maryland, that for my confidence level, having, family and someone you trusted on staff that you knew through and through, that was a huge element. And then obviously it was, her time to move on and, go through her career, when she left. But it was phenomenal. I mean, nothing better than family. Anyone who knows us, our family is extremely close. And, so it was awesome. I got to coach with one sister. I got to, at Iowa State, my other sister played. So I got to spend 4 years with my youngest sister. So I feel like I've had the best of both worlds, having family involved.
Oh man, that's awesome. So who did you always know that you wanted to be a head coach when you started playing the game, or when did that start to surface? Who were your influences in that respect?
Yeah, my high school coach, Paul James, was a major influence on me. We won a state championship. I was always in the gym. He would always open the doors for my sisters and I and teammates to get shots up. And so it was really him that kind of thrusted me. I thought I wanted to coach. I remember when I graduated high school, he gave me the playbook. And, I had this big binder. And so I really thought I would emulate him, be a high school coach and a teacher and high school coach. And it was really when I got to Arizona and went through some adversity, having injuries that ended my career, that I really started thinking more big picture, that I think maybe I can do this in college. And, for me, it was, getting that first job at Kent State. I was fortunate to be hired there, and it was really there. Then all of a sudden, you start thinking, wow, I can do this. I can go through as an assistant, and then you have bigger goals. Like you get that itch as an assistant where it's like, okay, I'm ready to have my own program.
Yeah. So, Coach, you've had a lot of success in your career, and I mean, right from the beginning. What would you say is your most memorable moment as a coach?
Wow, you're making me pick one.
I'll give you two. You can throw two out there.
There's a lot. I mean, obviously you'd have to start with the obvious, right? The 2006 national championship in Boston. I've never been a part of a game where it's like, everything was just silent, and then Christy Tolliver hits that three, and the decibel levels of how loud it was. I'll never forget that moment of that shot, and by a freshman, and the confidence it took for her to, make that shot. So, and then the other one, probably when, at that time we had to go on home sites for regional games, and we were at, Louisville, and it was the game to go to the Final Four in Nashville. And, we had to go into their place, we had to play there, and, former assistant, and you had all the drama of, that game, and to come out and win on their home court, again, I mean, that's something that will stick with you forever.
For sure. So, Coach, just like I said, you've had a lot of success in your career. What do you attribute that to? Why are you so successful? I mean, I mentioned it earlier. You went at a 79, almost 80% clip. I mean, over a 20-year coaching. I mean, that is incredible. What do you attribute your success to?
Well, I think it starts on the home front. My parents, just how they raised us, that, work ethic. And, I think, this, and we all know this, that, this is a highly competitive sport, that your ego can change, and you have to have a healthy ego to be in coaching, to be a competitor. I mean, I am as extreme as it's going to get as a competitor, but I do think they've always raised me to be very humble, and, to keep that ego in check. And I think that's something really important, within your profession. And then, I think the relationship piece, I think that's where I thrive. That's who I am, building relationships with recruits, with families, with your own, players, that's, probably, that's why I'm in it. It's not, the byproduct is going to Final Fours and winning national championships. But for me, it's like giving kids that opportunity. That's what I want them to experience it. I've already done it. So it's just, the relationship piece that I love about this profession, and why I'm in it.
So with all your success, do you ever see yourself going to the WNBA level and coaching there?
I don't. No, I mean, college for me is, where it's at. Although, like, I will say during COVID, it was nice when all you had to do was just coach. You didn't have to do, all the other stuff. And I was like, now I get this, but, for me, no. I mean, I don't think I would be able to be myself as much as, like, you get them for 3 months, and, the relationship piece. And obviously, I love Maryland. This is, home. This is, where I hope to retire from. And, this is, I love everything about it.
So this season right here, what's your thoughts on this season and in the upcoming season? You have some young talent, and Owusu, Diamond, Angel, Sellers, so what's your thoughts on this season and coming back next?
Yeah, well, I think, every season, you have expectations, right? But then you never know how different things are going to unfold. And, this team, obviously, we had really high expectations. We always do when we're at Maryland. But, it was unlike any other season we had ever been through, with injuries, and still dealing with COVID and illness. And, this team faced just a ton. Every time we seemed to be in an upswing, we would take a hit with something else. So it was a huge success, maybe not for some to think that, oh, we had the roster, but it changed, throughout the season because of injuries and because of the illness. So really super proud of them to be able to get back to a Sweet 16, given everything they fought through. And, we still, we lose, two senior starters. So that's going to be a big replacement with Katie Benson and Chloe Bibby. But, the core of, like you talked about, the junior class, Ashley Owusu, Diamond Miller, Mimi Collins, Faith Masonis will come back after her ACL. And then Angel Reese, the year she made, the jump she made is huge. And, and then you still have, the transfer portal out there and, different players that you're going to be adding. So we're very excited about what the future looks like.
Awesome. So, Coach, I remember as a player, right? Like I said, I would go see the women's play all the time. And it was a little bit of, yeah, we got that win tonight. What y'all gonna do? Type of deal. And oftentimes we would be on the short end of the stick. But hey, we would always compete a little bit with each other. Secretly, do the coaches, do you compete with the men a little bit? You look at them and say, hey, okay, do you compete with them a little bit?
No, I mean, ours is like super supportive. We want them to win. Obviously, we've got a great relationship because of the Reese family, right? Like Angel and Julian, like it's the closest the two teams have ever been because of that dynamic and the relationship. And, now with the hiring of Kevin Willard, like, everyone's excited and, thrilled. So no, are you kidding me? Like when they're winning and they're on a national stage, I mean, that I remember coming in 2002, off of Gary Williams and the national championship team. And that's what I sold. I mean, I was coming in and, that's what I sold was the national championship team to, that's a household name. So we love it when each other does well.
Yeah, I mean, I know inside I was always thinking to myself, man, they got us again today, So, it helped inspire, that competitive nature, it adds to it a little bit. So Coach, two more questions. What would you say to coaches who are aspiring to get to this level right here? What advice would you give?
Well, I mean, obviously the work ethic, you have to separate yourself because it's now a relentless profession. I mean, obviously now with the transfer portal and I mean, there's really not a lot of downtime. So you have to have a really, really high work, high work ethic. And then, networking, it's a people, business, relationships, matter. So being able to, get out and connect and meet as many people as possible.
Right. So my last question for you is one that my viewers all love, and it's tell me something about yourself that most do not know. Mark hasn't told me anything.
I think most people would be shocked that I'm actually very introverted. So I think most people, like, I'm thrusted into a profession, that I have to be outgoing and my personality and different things. But, during, the pandemic and when we were shut down, I was probably one of the happiest people out there. I like my own time, being on my own, like from that element, I just, I really found in that time, like, oh man, I really do kind of enjoy this time, but I also can switch back and forth, but I think most people would probably be surprised.
I can identify with you on that for sure. Hey, listen, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a pleasure. I text with Mark often and just letting him know how much I support the team, and it's just awesome watching you all play. Such an exciting team, exciting way to play the game, and you are a terrific coach. Many would say the GOAT of University of Maryland. And, it's very fitting. You have been so successful and absolutely a shining star for University of Maryland to put on a pedestal. So thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Walden. I mean, the feeling is mutual. We appreciate, all of your support, and, you're a legend, and, I just appreciate you having me on. Go Terps.
Go Terps and nobody else.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic and team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre- and post-production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution, and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.